What steps did you take to prepare for the interview?
So first of all, I did some research on the company background. For example, what business they do. This is very important. And then what products do they have? And then what presence do they have in Asia or globally? And then and also I did some research on the hiring manager. So usually in that sense, it would be the HR manager. So I would go on LinkedIn and use my LinkedIn account to search for the HR manager to understand better about her background, such as her education background and how long she has been with the company. And more importantly, I make sure that I read through the job description to familiarize with what I'm expected of for this position.
How did that research help you during the interview? So you've done all the research. How, if you can remember, how did it help you during the interview? Or how did you use it?
So one of the common questions that the employer will likely ask is that how much do you know about our company? So my research will really help in that case. And also, for example, I will try to see if I have any common ground with the hiring manager. One time I went to an interview and then I found that the hiring manager is actually studied at PolyU. So I told her, oh, so I saw your profile and I know that you graduated from PolyU. And then instantly we have that connection. So it gives the hiring manager a better impression of me.
What are the most common questions that you're asked during the interview?
First of all, the employer will ask me to give her a brief introduction of myself. And also, how much do you know about our company? And then your understanding about the position. And also about your strength and your weakness, which is a very typical question. And also depends on what type of position. The employer will usually ask you some scenario-based questions. For example, if you're interviewing for a sales position, it will be likely that the employer will ask you also, what do you think is the important traits to be a successful salesperson? So these are the typical questions, and also salary expectations.
What was the most difficult question and how did you answer it?
So I studied textile at university, but I went to a recruitment company to ask for a job as a recruitment consultant. So the employer asked me, so what is the reason why you want to do recruitment instead of staying in a field that is related to your major?
We know asking about weaknesses is a common question, but difficult to answer. How do you handle that question?
Personally, I think whatever the question that the HR asks you is a golden opportunity for you to sell yourself, why you're suitable for that position. So even if they ask you about your weakness, it doesn't mean that you have to really tell them your weakness. So I think it's better to stick with like minor weakness. What I always answer is that I am a very impatient person. This is because I am highly results-oriented and success-driven. And more importantly, I always tell the HR how I overcame that weakness.
What is a weakness that was not very effective that was given, if you can remember?
A lot of people came very unprepared. They have no good understanding about a company, and a lot of them don't even know about the position well. And they don't show understanding about the job duties and expectations. And more importantly, they have a lot of distracting behaviors during the interview. For example, a lot of them spend time on the mobile phone rather than pay attention to the interviewer, and also didn't maintain good eye contact with the interviewer, and also play with the paper or play with the pen. So these are very distracting behaviors that may cause a bad impression on yourself.
So what is an inappropriate answer to the question of what is your weakness?
One of my candidates mentioned that she doesn't have very good time management skills, so she is often late for work. For me, that one is absolutely a deal breaker because it's about your attitude, right? It's an attitude issue and about your integrity. So for me, this is totally a deal breaker. And another candidate also said that her weakness is that she is extremely lazy and not hardworking. And then again, it's an attitude problem. So I would say whenever you're asked a witness question, do not mention anything about your work ethic or your work attitude, because this will really affect your chance of getting the job.
Did you contact the company after the interview?
Yeah, I always drop a thank you email to the interviewer to leave a good impression and also highlight my interest about the job.
How long do you usually wait to send that message or email? Or
I usually do that within a week, because if you send the email after a week, the interviewer probably doesn't remember you anymore.
Is there an inappropriate time to send the thank you or the follow-up?
I think do not send a thank you email after a week, and also do not send a thank you email like immediately after the interview, because you don't want to come across as too desperate.
So how long did you wait for the job offer?
Usually within a week to 2 weeks.
Do you usually ask at the end of the interview, when can I expect to hear back from you?
Yeah, usually. And then I also ask the HR manager about the next step of the interview, because it can be 2 to 3 round interview. So I need to get that information to know what to expect.
I would also like to know, what is a good way to end the interview if you were a candidate?
It's better to ask some questions about the company, because I've seen a lot of candidates at the final stage of the interview. I ask them, oh, so do you have any questions about the job or the company or anything that you want to ask? And they usually say no. So I will have a feeling that you're not too keen about a job. So it's better to prepare for some questions in advance. It would be great to ask some questions about the career path and the company structure, and also some information about the hiring manager, like what is her expectations about the person. And also stay away from questions such as salary, benefits, something like that.
Can you name an inappropriate question that a candidate has asked?
What is the budget for this position? And can I get 30% increment? How many annual leave? I think it's too early to ask those questions in an early stage, because you will come across as quite money-driven.
How can people overcome their nerves during the interview?
I guess preparation and practice is the key. If you're nervous about an interview, it's probably because you didn't prepare well enough. Yeah, I would say try to come up with some possible questions for the interview, and then make sure you prepare as well as possible and do some role plays with your friend and get their opinions.
What strategies do you use to get more from them?
As a recruiter, my approach is a little bit different from the approach of a typical HR manager. For a typical HR manager, the questions that they ask are very structured. First of all, introduction, and then go through the work experience, and then salary expectations. So these are very structured approach. But from my perspective as a recruiter, it's very important for me to build the connection and the rapport with the candidate. So I have to ask them about also what is your current situation like, and then what is the reason why you're looking out and open to the market, and then talk about or exchange some market information for them to warm up and open up to me, so that I can get more information from them afterwards.
Thank you so much for coming to talk to us today about what interview you should do before, during, and after the interview. Appreciate it, Nora.
Welcome. It's my pleasure.
Remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn.